Yo, yo, yo.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Always, baby.
Awesome.
Hold on, I
Why
gotta.
don't you make me a host?
How about I make you a co-host?
Alrighty. Oh, Steven.
Hi,
Can
what's
you hear
up,
me
babe?
still? Um, testing, testing. One, two, three. Are we live?
Yeah, obviously. Duh.
Alrighty.
Duh.
Steven, what happened?
Um, a lot of things happened.
A lot of things happened. We're in the wrong timeline. We're not in the omni-liberal timeline.
Yeah.
So as everyone who's listened to this space is well aware, Donald Trump was utterly victorious on Tuesday.
He won.
He won.
I don't know why I would say utterly victorious, but he won. Yeah.
He won the popular vote
I
by about a
think
point and
so.
a half. Probably.
Probably. Most likely he will. Yeah.
He swept every single swing state.
He did indeed. Yeah.
And Republicans have taken control. I think even now Decision Desk has called it of both houses of Congress. They have the courts pretty well stacked with Republican judges, and certainly the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a clean sweep, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it.
And so our Spaces show before the election was kind of calibrated to give arguments for, have discussion about why people should vote for Harris instead of Trump. But now that that's a moot point, the show must go on. And what I thought would make sense for us to discuss, we're going to keep talking to MAGA people, and I want individuals in the spaces to remember the rules we set out. Americans only, and you got to be MAGA. But we're now going to be talking about from a position of governance of what Trump is going to do, of what we expect him to do, of what you're excited for if you're a MAGA person. What do you think is going to happen? I have some ideas about what's going to occur in the near term once Trump takes office in
Governance of what
January. Trump is going to do. I'll start. I think that you're going to see a lot of. This will be no surprise to anybody. Executive orders on immigration. I think you'll see a lot of court battles about the scope of those executive orders. I think you're already starting to see a lot of discussion about what those could entail. Donald Trump has a sort of picked a quote unquote border czar, which wasn't an official position. It was kind of a term that the media came up with until I guess now he's going to make it an official position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to be able to see some movement on tariffs, which he seems dedicated to doing, which I think will cause some immediate pain economically for a lot of people. Those are the things off the top of my head. Stephen, why don't you give us a little rundown of what you're expecting in the near term before we start bringing on some friends?
Um, I truly don't know. I mean, the thing we're gonna all be keeping our eyes open for, or our eyes open on, are going to be like cabinet level picks. I mean, obviously we've already seen that it seems like RFK is probably not getting an official position. Trump basically said fuck off to Nikki Haley and Pompeo, one of which I think Ben Shapiro confidently asserted would certainly be a part of Trump's next administration, which it seems like that's not going to happen. So yeah, I think we're all just kind of like all eyes are on who the cabinet picks are going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, already starting to see some pretty. Uh, some people might say business as usual picks. Others might say unhinged picks. I think it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. For people who were expecting, I'm going to sort of, I don't know if shout out is the right word here, but call out the MAGA communist crowd. You guys know who you are. These are the Jackson Hinkle types. They seem to be disappointed by the pick of Stefanik for ambassador to Israel because they wanted a more pro-Palestinian Trump administration. I don't know what you guys were expecting by someone who was trying to sell themselves as the most pro-Israel candidate in the history of the republic. But I also will note Ben Shapiro's prediction on Mike Pompeo, pretty funny. So yeah, I
Careful
think
that
that
not even that
yeah,
wasn't just a prediction. That was him saying he had insider info about
inside
it as
info.
well,
Yeah.
right? So, oof.
Do well. I guess before we start bringing people on, do you expect? Okay, Mike Pompeo's not there. Nikki Haley's not there. Do you expect to see a significant change in foreign policy, vis-a-vis Ukraine or Israel? It seems like there was a phone call between Donald Trump and Zelensky, and Elon was on that call. But before we get MAGA involved, what do you think the administration's shift in position is going to be in
So
foreign
I
policy?
think the scary thing was before Donald Trump kind of has like a child's view of foreign policy, but at least he had like kind of the bureaucracy to kind of massage him in a direction that wasn't wholly destructive or self-destructive. Now I think Donald Trump understands the second time around that he has to staff himself with sycophants. He needs people that will say yes no matter what. So I'm worried that we'll see a little bit more unhinged of a foreign policy. And I guess an unhinged foreign policy, in my view, would be basically a retreat of the United States from the world stage in every measurable form. That would be the scary part. So obviously, like Ukraine is going to have to fully surrender to Russia, the same way that Trump had to surrender to the Taliban. We're going to be less involved in foreign affairs, basically anywhere. Anything relating to Southeast Asia and Taiwan is questionable. Anything relating to the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia and Israel, is going to be questionable. I don't know. And it's just going to depend on how willing to go along with him are the cabinet picks that Trump chooses going to be, I guess. But
Last thing before we bring people on, um, Elon's involvement, the oligarchs that people are referencing and pointing out. Let's take a moment to appreciate the fact that Elon Musk now is directly involved, apparently, in the forthcoming foreign policy, domestic policy, government management of the United States of America, the richest man in the world. What are your thoughts on that, Destiny?
uh, Elon Musk is everything and more that the right warned that George Soros would be. I think it's incredibly disappointing and scary that it's such like an oligarchical structure that the world's richest man, who is like the CEO of so many like businesses that are also kind of or can become key or essential to national security, is also like so closely in bed with the president. Like I feel stupid even saying this. Like obviously, it's the idea that this man was enriched by billions of dollars because Trump was like all of that is incredibly scary, and it should concern literally anybody that has any care whatsoever for the future of the United States. That somebody who's so financially positioned to have certain incentives has such a close relationship with the president.
Well, thanks for that. Welcome everybody to This Is the World We Want. Well, it's not the world right now that Stephen and I want, but I'm assuming if you're calling in, it's the world that you want. And so we're going to start with John. John, what are your thoughts on the election? What's to come? What are your fears? What are your excitements? What's going on?
Hey, no, yeah, I don't really have any fears. I think I'm overall just happy. I've been waiting for this for years now. Can I just say really quick, Steven, I appreciate everything you do. Sorry it's a little cold. I just ran out to my car. I am Jewish, and just everything you've done the past year, I do appreciate it. I will say that right off the bat. When it comes to Trump, I have been talking to people in these spaces for a year now, trying to get other Jews to vote for Trump. And your concerns of Israel, I'm confused about because I do think he is the best president for Israel we've ever seen in my lifetime and in the future. And I'm really excited to see India and America start getting closer with Vivek and JD Vance. So I just fail to see a downside. I have a lot of problems with the way that Democrats don't want to accept reality with the CPI because I'm like a Bitcoin person as well. My backstory is I played League of Legends for like 12, 14 years. So I don't know. I've appreciated what you do though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Trump was good for the health of the Middle East, but I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Um, I don't think Trump has a
How could
coherent.
you say that though? Like I think he's great for the Middle East.
I mean, I don't think he
Like
has
this
a
thing,
I don't think he has a coherent vision for what the Middle East is going to look like. It seems like everything he does just kind of like ratchets up the conflict. I don't think that he has resolved any of the longstanding issues. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he's moved it at
the
all.
goal is to remove the regime from Iran. And with a peaceful Persia, the world will have peace.
So
Whether
is
it's
it fair, just
India,
real quick, just so we understand, is what you're saying, you're suggesting that Trump is
I'm
going to.
suggesting we're about to see world peace in the next 4 years. Yeah.
Fair enough, but through that, you mean to say there will be a war with Iran that Israel will be involved with, and that America is going to need to be involved with, at least.
America doesn't need to be involved, whether it's Iran, whether it's Russia, whether it's China. One thing we've learned through Ukraine, through any of this stuff, is all of these countries are a bunch of paper tigers, and they've been lying about a lot of things. They're not as strong as they pretend
John,
to
I
be.
feel that.
And
I'm
if
just trying to get an
America
answer to something.
wasn't,
Something real quick. I just want to answer to this, and then you can elaborate. Is it
yeah,
the case that you're advocating for regime change in Iran?
100%,
Okay,
absolutely.
and through war?
No, I would prefer any method possible. I just would like to see Muslims not allowed to hold positions of power in countries other than Saudi Arabia.
Wait, what?
You heard me.
Including Egypt,
Any,
Jordan, Iraq.
any, any of them.
Well, it seems like
We
I have to
started
say.
a World War I for a reason. We never really fixed it afterwards, and that's been the problems of the Middle East. We pretend we don't know what's going on, but there's still a global slave trade. These people are still terrorizing South America, South Africa, Europe, every country across the planet. And honestly, I am super excited because Trump is going to stop them from killing people. And anyone who's against that, I'm just confused because ever since Obama, we have been working in the wrong direction, trying to appease people who want to oppress other people underneath their religious rule. And it's very strange you guys pretend it's not happening.
I'm seeing some inherent contradictions, maybe not within you, but I was told that Donald Trump would start no new wars, that he would bring only peace. But it seems like in any realistic solution, if you wanted to see regime change, not just in Iran, but I thought you heard you say every single Muslim country other than Saudi Arabia.
Oh no,
It
that's
sounds like
just
that will
me personally.
necessitate. Let me
That's
just finish real
me
quick.
personally.
Let me
Yeah, I
just
get
finish
what
real
you're
quick.
saying, but he doesn't want that.
Yeah, I know, but it sounds like, would you agree that in any realistic situation that would necessitate foreign intervention and war?
I think most Americans don't understand anything when it comes to foreign things. They don't understand what Ukraine is. They don't understand what Israel is. And it takes too long to explain it to them. They don't understand that foreign aid spending is less than 1% of the budget. They act like it causes inflation, even though they don't even know what begins to start.
Do you remember
All
my
these
question, sir?
isolationists. Yeah, I'm telling you that Trump's not going to start new wars. Like, he might deal with terrorists, but he's not going to go and start wars.
No.
Israel can
Do you
deal
remember
with
my
the
question,
regime
sir?
change themselves.
It isn't.
And the
I'm asking you
people
whether
of
or not these.
Iran,
I'm
the
asking you whether or
people of
not these
Iran
regime
will have
change.
their regime change themselves
I'm
with
asking you whether or not,
sanctions.
realistically, in a realistic fashion, you think that it's in order for you.
Realistically, I don't think Trump's going to go far enough. I would prefer war. Yes, that's me, but I'm the exception.
No. I'm not asking you what you would prefer. I'm asking you
Okay.
to. Although it's clear now that you support war, that would be what you would support ideally,
Yeah.
and you would support American interventionism. By the way, that sounds a lot like the neocon
I
Republicans of
would prefer
yesteryear.
Israel just does it themselves.
Uh,
As for America, I don't really care what we do. I think we have a lot of problems in our own country, and that's why Trump
yes,
got
but but
elected.
but war in any realistic situation, it would require war. I mean,
Yeah, but
Egypt.
don't do that thing where you're trying to. This is why people voted for Trump. You try to twist people's words. I'm saying America should focus on America. The Middle East is going to figure out itself one way or the other, whether America intervenes or not.
You say focus on America. You were given complete autonomy to pick the thing that you are most excited about as someone who was supporting Donald Trump, and it was a
I
foreign
don't care.
interventions.
No, I simply came up here to say I appreciated Destiny for everything he's done. Whether I'm changing your guys' mind about Trump, I don't think I'm going to. You guys probably don't. You guys would think I'm crazy for trying to explain to you why the price of a house went from 3 years worth of your salary to over 7 times the average salary, and most millennials never being able to
It
afford a
sounds like you're
home.
deflecting, sir. It sounds
I
like now
am
you're
not
talking about
deflecting at
the
all.
cost of living,
It
and you're
is
not
it
talking
is
about foreign
every
intervention.
reason why Trump won.
Well, I think
And
we.
you
So I think
don't
we have it. So a
understand
guy
it.
who's like super
You
ultra
don't get it.
pro war in the Middle East voted for Trump. Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Thank you, John. Appreciate your input, and we'll now hear from Calvin. Calvin, how are you? Calvin. You know, my favorite comic book is Calvin and Hobbes.
How you doing?
How you doing, Calvin? Give us your thoughts. Trump's elected. What's going to happen? What are you excited for? What are you fearful
Oh
for?
man.
Do you think that we're overreacting? Talk to us.
No, I mean, you're definitely valid in your opinion. I don't think anyone's overreacting, especially not my friend Steven here. I've been watching him a lot, and I know that he's pretty grounded in his opinions, and I got a lot of respect for him. Pretty excited to be in here. Um, but I guess what I am expecting the most is if he continues with putting all these people in his cabinet that he has been, that like as they call it, like anti neocon people and no like war hawks or whatever. I think there's going to be most of it is probably going to be like I think the legacy that this term leaves behind will be a lot of back and forth with him trying to dismantle whatever bureaucracy he doesn't see fit anymore.
So, which agencies, for example, are you? So, just to give you some examples, there's some talk about the Department of Education going away.
Right.
Certainly, a lot of changes are expected in the intelligence agencies, where people who are close to the president, such as Vivek and others, are talking about massive change. I mean, Vivek himself, who is on the short list, it appears to be Secretary of State, talked about humongous reductions in the workforce of the government, maybe 50% or more. What can you be a little bit more specific on your kind of agency excitement, your excitement for the change in the administrative state or the
Yeah.
deep state?
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's really an excitement. It's just like what I think is going to happen is like you said, the Department of Education. Probably I don't even know the name of the health agencies. It's probably one of those if RFK ends up getting anywhere.
Would you
And
want RFK in
the
charge of those agencies, the health agencies?
I mean, he seems to know what he's talking about when it comes to health stuff, but I know there's a lot of stuff where people might not think that. So I suppose so. I mean, I guess it would be interesting for just 4 years to see what would happen. I mean, as I understand it, like a lot of people talk about the fluoride in the water, which is just one thing. And obviously, there was that study or whatever that came out within the past like year about how it was shown to lower IQ in children, I believe it was. I mean, I don't know if that's going to actually happen if he could actually take the fluoride out of the water. But I mean, the FBI too, I think would probably be one that Trump would go after in particular, because he's obviously not too fond of the FBI. I think we all can agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're trolling. I mean, is there a single health related policy that RFK has stated that you can identify that you agree with, that you would want him in charge of?
No, which is why I'm not getting too confident with speaking on that. And no, I'm not trolling. Just for the record, I'm not
Okay.
trolling. Yeah.
I don't know, Stephen. I don't know if you have any thoughts here. I think that one of the things we're most fearful of is these people who are, in my opinion, clearly unhinged, a la RFK Jr., being in charge of areas where it could be a matter of life and death. Like, we really want to take out fluoride out of the water. We want to have no more
I mean, I guess
vaccines.
like
What's going
here's
on?
the question: we're saying like, do we feel like overall the FDA does a good job or a bad job?
Probably a good one.
So doesn't RFK have like a pretty anti-FDA stance?
Yes.
So, so what, isn't that a bad thing then?
I suppose it would be. It just like the thing is that I don't think myself or you or anyone really knows when they talk about going in and reforming it, it's just such a abstract term to begin with that I'm not sure if he would be reforming things that me and you both see as good things or things that we both would see as bad things if
Well,
we knew about
what's an
them.
example of something you think RFK would have a better position on than people currently in the FDA?
Well, this is kind of uncharted waters for me a little bit, but I would say maybe with certain vaccines, which I can't get too technical about that or too specific because I really don't know for sure. But I would say vaccines and their effects on children,
Do you
and if
think
there's
that
any
vaccines
links
have had
to
overwhelmingly like a negative effect or a positive effect on children?
probably overall positive. But
Is
I'm
there?
talking about the necessity of like loading up extremely young children with them, and if it's really all that necessary.
Well, what do you mean when we say
Just in the
loading
event
up?
that, like, when you first have a child, there's a few different vaccines that are offered up to you pretty early in their lives, as I understand it.
Sure. What's like an appropriate
And the
number?
efficacy,
What's
the efficacy of that is questionable.
questionable by who? Can somebody besides RFK or?
No, no one that I could reference for you.
Yeah.
This health
So
one is like the least of my knowledge, to be
sure.
honest
What's
with
the
you.
one that's the
And
most of your knowledge then?
probably the FBI.
So nothing related to health and RFK.
No, not really. No.
Okay, so tell us about the FBI reforms. I mean, we understand that Donald Trump had some issues with the FBI, mostly because he was under investigation. But like, truly, what things are you
Yeah,
hoping to see different from the FBI under Trump? Which, by the way, the FBI has been running under um, his own appointee of director for the last 4 or 5 years.
right.
So what kind of change in the
Yeah, I
FBI
don't
are
know. I
you
mean,
are looking forward to?
well, see, the problem here is that if I were to reference something about the FBI, then I would have to bring up January 6th, and I already know that Destiny's going to steamroll me if I do that.
Well,
I mean, just
we
I'm
want to
not
be
here to
productive.
steamroll it. What
Yeah.
is the feeling?
Well, I just think that, like, you know, when it comes to the FBI, they don't let a good, whatever the term is, false flag or whatever you want to call it, go to waste.
Don't let a good crisis go to
And
waste,
there's,
is what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that. And I think that, I think that the FBI probably lacks transparency more than anyone else with the governmental stuff because we just have so much blind trust in them.
Wait, how do we? Isn't there a watchdog partner with the FBI? It exists under the DOJ. Like we've literally had
There might
reports
be,
that
I
have
wouldn't know.
audited. Oh, I mean, like, um, is it the Durham report that looked into
It's
the FBI,
the
right?
so they have an inspector
Yeah, an
general.
inspector general should be paired with almost every federal office. I don't understand what do we
Oh, is
need.
that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you telling me that.
Well, is there any conduct with respect to January 6th that the FBI undertook which you thought was wrong?
I mean, well, it's obviously up to everyone's own interpretation whether or not they had people right up front there that they wanted going in to make Trump look worse.
You think that's up for interpretation?
I do, yes.
Well, let's say that we thought that did happen. Donald Trump was the
Yep.
president of the DOJ and everything with this FBI, and it was like his head. Like, how could it seems like Donald Trump wouldn't even be the guy to change it then? No, because didn't all this happen under Donald Trump?
Well, yeah, of course it happened under him at the top, but there could still be people colluding underneath that didn't want him to be in power any longer, which would go along with the whole National Guard thing that has come up in the past few months.
Yeah, but I mean, like Wray was there after Comey. Trump appointed him, right? And then
Right.
Barr
Yep.
was one of the attorney generals. Trump appointed him. So Trump appointed the head of the FBI and the head of the DOJ, which is what the FBI is under. And it seems like all this still happened. So it seems like what is Trump going to do differently this time?
Right. Well, yeah, that's a fair question. And honestly, I couldn't tell you. I'm just more so intrigued to observe whatever that ends up being, because I think like the main point that I tried to make when you guys first put me on was that I don't know how it would work legally and all that stuff, but I just feel like a lot of the people in I'm just going to use the term bureaucrats. A lot of those people aren't going to want to lose their paychecks, basically, which is totally understandable. And I think that's just going to be one of the most interesting things to see happen over the next 4 years or however long it takes. And that they're actually, because it's either that they get all of this done or they don't, and it's like
All of what done?
at least all of like the stuff that I referenced and that you referenced earlier with Vivek, with like shutting it down basically. It's either going to happen in their favor or it's not, and it's going to be a total waste of resources and
If we think that the
everything
FBI,
else.
if all the bureaucrats were just interested in holding onto their paychecks, wouldn't that be an
Mhm.
incentive for them to just blindly follow the president because he knows, or because he can keep all of them basically in place?
Yeah, it would actually. Yeah, you're right.
So aren't they acting literally the opposite? Doesn't it seem like something is probably driving them more than just their paychecks to resist Trump rather than for paychecks, in which case they'd probably just blindly follow him?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think that would be?
Probably love of country, respect for their job, like respect for the
Yeah,
Constitution, maybe. I don't know, maybe.
yeah, that's true.
A lot of these are really good
Can,
people. I mean, they have arrested people who were trying to assassinate Donald Trump. They stopped a terrorist attack that was going to go after people on election day. Like the
hmm
FBI gets child rapists, child traffickers. It does a lot of really important shit. And I'm scared that if you have like a 50% reduction in force, it's kind of like it reminds me of the defund the police movement. We're going to have more terrorist attacks. We're going to have more bad people.
Right.
We're going to have more rapists. And that shit makes me angry. It makes me angry because people kind of have this lackadaisical attitude. I'm sorry, Calvin. I'm hearing something from you. Like, let's just see what happens if we turn the knob this way or that way. I think real people are going to
For
be
sure.
fucking hurt. Same thing with the health stuff. Like people might die if you don't have the right regulations that are smart and calibrated to achieve certain ends. And so I don't know. It feels like right now you're a little bit ambivalent about what you want to see, and you're kind of just very experimental with what's going to
For
happen. Like,
sure.
what do you think about that? Or I'll let you respond to that.
Well, actually, because I know that I have limited time here, could
Yeah,
I actually ask Destiny a question
sure.
before I go? And I'll let you guys move on to the next speaker because I know it's kind of going nowhere. Um, Destiny, do you think that the whatever agency, I believe it actually is the FBI, funny that we're talking about them, who is it that keeps tying Iran back to the assassination attempts on Trump?
I don't know. What do you mean? Are you asking which agency is involved or tasked with saying it's happening, or
Right, yeah.
I imagine some combination of like CIA and FBI, maybe? Why?
Do you think that there's any validity to people thinking that they're blaming Iran for the assassination attempts to give pretext to
Sounds like
encourage war against Israel's biggest enemy?
that sounds like what Nick Fuentes says.
Well, I don't know anything about Nick Fuentes. This actually just a total question. I'm just curious.
Do you think? I think there would have to be way too many people involved in a thing like that to hide something like that or to make something like that happen. That just seems pretty improbable. But
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And if so, I just want to say before you leave, it sounds like
Yes, sir.
you're totally opposite to the guy we just spoke about who wanted increased tension with Iran. It sounds like you're fearful of that, and so I guess I'm not sure exactly what the position is from
Oh
MAGA, or
yeah.
at least from yours. Do you think that he's going to encourage war with Iran, or he's gonna try to de-escalate with Iran?
I would imagine that he would. Well, the word would be de-escalate, but that would be, of course, like through the same foreign policy that he had before, where it was kind of like it's technically de-escalating because that's what happens, but it's because he raises the iron fist to begin with. But I don't think that Trump would ever encourage like an actual like ground war where American troops have to go in and go to war with people.
Hopefully not.
I don't think that could happen.
All right, thank you, Calvin, very much. Appreciate your
Yes,
input.
sir. Thank you.
And yeah, have a wonderful night.
You too.
Benjamin Franklin, how you doing, bud? Good to see you alive, sir. Benjamin? Oh, Benjamin. All right, we'll move on then if Benjamin is unable to speak. Jamili. Jamili. The floor is yours, Jamili.
Yeah, Pisco, how's it going? Hi,
Good. How are you?
Destiny. I try to troll you frequently, but you don't respond to my tweets, man.
Sorry.
I'd actually like to switch up and talk about immigration and
Yep.
how crazy, convoluted, and backwards everything is.
Yep.
In general, it seems like neither side has an incentive to fix the problem because it's used as a political football. But I want to talk specifically about DACA. Legally.
Yep.
So it confuddles me a little bit that DACA was created by executive action in 2012 by Obama, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it went through this long, arduous court process where basically it was determined Trump can't unilaterally kill the program. And
You want me to explain that?
Yeah, could you go over?
Yeah. So DACA it's not really offering any status or entitlement or sort of
Well, it
right.
gives them protection from deportation
Right.
and work authorization, and they
What
have
I
to
mean to say
renew
is
every 2 years, right?
it's not like a vested right. It's a matter of grace and and whatever. There are a lot of arguments on the merits about what it is, but essentially DACA is a position from the government of priorities of non-enforcement. But it
Only
does
for children that crossed through no fault of their own, right? Something like that.
under a certain period. Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
asking basically how was it that Trump was unable to get rid of it?
Yeah.
So the answer to that question is it has not squarely met the Supreme Court, but the rescission of DACA was ruled to be "quote unquote" arbitrary and capricious under the Administrative Procedures Act. And so it wasn't that Trump doesn't have the power to rescind DACA. It's just that the way they didn't comport with the procedural requirements of the Administrative Procedures Act. That the rescission was arbitrary and capricious in that it relied. I think this is correct on the notion of it being illegal was the only justification for its rescission, and that was not sufficient. They had to consider other rationales, other policy reasons before they could rescind the. But Trump does have the power to rescind DACA, and frankly, I expect him to do that.
Yeah, okay. And so it sort of feels like immigration to me is like I don't think the Republicans have a very cohesive anything in terms of how they want to like what they perceive the ideal version of an immigration system to be. I mean, I heard some random Trump brought up that if you have a STEM master's or in a PhD program, they'll give you a green card, like some Vivek idea. But they don't seem to have a cohesive strategy. And meanwhile, the Democrats seem to be playing footsie with like they don't they don't really want to restrict immigration until it becomes a political issue
I
in
think
an
you're
election.
I think you're onto something here, and I encourage everyone to watch an interview that Ezra Klein had with Vivek Ramaswamy, because there are really, and he identifies them quite clearly, three strands of anti-immigration sentiment in this country, and the rationales behind them are, in a sense, conflicting, and there are a lot of contradictions. The first sense is the kind of true MAGA sense, and I would say this is the sense that Trump often talks about it, is that immigration is wrong right now because the people are bad. That is, they're poisoning the blood of our country. They're bringing rapists, they're murderers, all
Right, the
that
white
stuff.
supremacy arm of it.
Yeah, you could call that the bad people view of immigration. Then you have the kind of JD Vance version of the anti-immigration strain, which is about protecting the American worker. And then you have like a third view of it, which is maybe more the Vivek strand of it, which is it needs to be kind of uh, in the interest of America and on our terms and only with informed consent. And that's the kind of Vivek model. And so I agree. There's not a coherent policy rationale here. And you're seeing a lot of different forces tugging at Donald Trump because I don't think there is a coherent vision. I think the way that he's selling it is these are dirty people. They're bringing crime, they're bringing rapists. But a lot of the powers that be that are behind Trump and that have his ear and that funded his campaign are oligarchs that have very different visions. They want to increase the number of professional visas. They want to increase the amount of workers for their particular sectors. And so, yes, you're seeing a lot of incoherences, a lot of contradictions, because frankly, that's where the party is.
On the other side, though, I don't think Democrats have any credibility in terms of the immigration issue because the underlying assumption people have is they're not willing to tackle the problem because of how. So, like, actually deporting like a million people or something like that who have crossed in the last 3 years or something like what the Trump.
Did you vote for Trump, Jamili?
No, I didn't vote for
What
Trump.
the fuck?
But
Wait, so you,
on this one issue, I feel that I know logically that building a wall and deporting a million people without addressing pull factors isn't going to do anything. But on the flip side, I feel like it's just a road to nowhere, and it's going to.
so are you excited for Trump's immigration policy or not?
Think about this: how the all the labor unions, all the leadership endorsed Kamala, but the membership voted for Trump. And the constant argument you hear on the other side is that, for GDP, for overall economic gains, immigrants commit less crime, they start more businesses, and they improve overall economic activity, right? But if you
Okay.
logically, if you're not a degreed professional, what is immigration doing? It's increasing the labor supply, right?
So are
If
you in favor? Are you looking forward to Trump's changes to immigration?
I would I don't want to deport 5 million people, but I would also like a realistic policy that limits the amount of people who can claim asylum and then get a 9-year waiting period, during which
Hello.
they can work.
Yeah. So, Jamili, we want to have some disagreement. It sounds like what you're saying that like there should be a waiting period on asylum, a 9-year waiting period.
I think the whole system needs to be you
Okay.
can't get asylum and cross into the United
So
States.
do
You
you
have to
think Trump is
remain
going
in
to be an
Mexico.
improvement on immigration or not?
Actually, yes, because of
Okay.
the executive orders that he did last time, the remain in Mexico policy.
Okay. So you think that's
W-
going to be an improvement? Are you looking forward to that being reinstituted?
Yes.
I think it's going to be a problem getting that through without the Mexican government's consent. I think that you're not. That's not
I
going to
think
happen
that I
unless
think
there's.
they're kind of between a rock and a hard place when they negotiate with an
Okay.
adversarial administration who they have 90% of GDP tied to.
All right. Any final questions or thoughts for Stephen?
No, that's it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. All righty. We have James B. James B. Politics, memes, populist, MAGA, 2016 Donald Trump campaign volunteer. What are your thoughts?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going. I don't know. I was like listening. It's more to piggyback off of like Calvin when you guys brought up like what reforms would I like to see to like our intelligence agencies. Um, Sort of like he couldn't really go into depth of like
Hmm.
maybe like why he would want reforms. And obviously, I granted, like you said, Ray is his appointee. That's someone that he brought on as the director and things like that. Like I get that, but it's the underlying like policies, like your FISA courts. And so like my whole thing is a little backstory. I was a Democrat out of school, liberal, big Obama supporter, and obviously, like I haven't always been the way that I am, like populist. And I just see like a lot of people just forget about like the Patriot Act and what that created. And I think the reforms that a lot of people in MAGA would like to see, and I can't speak for all of them, but I would say like finding ways to bring more like those secret courts and things like that, and the warrants and how that process goes through. Like I just think that that's giving too much power in a sense to those types of courts, especially when you're coming to stuff that is of national security. Like I think that
So
stuff needs
if
to be
things
more
like the Patriot Act
transparent.
bother you, how do you feel about the fact that Trump like reauthorized it? Wouldn't that be an
I
argument
mean,
against him?
I'd say that's less of. I mean, I feel like everybody at this point has like re-upped the visa
Yeah, but then why bring it
years
up at
ago.
all? Seems like that's not
Well,
a
I'm
reason
just
to vote for
saying.
him.
I just believe that if it comes down to it, just based on the fact that he has been sort of the one that's been investigated by them, it might give them a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, like reason to maybe stick it to them on those reforms, like knowing like, oh, hey, I know the processes that you guys used against me. Like, I mean, Trump, like, obviously I support him. I know he's not like this genius, this like person that full, but I think he knows enough where he knows how they operate. So I would say through him, you'd see more reforms and transparency. Granted, it's
You think you're
weird
going
to
to see
say that.
significant reforms to FISA under Trump?
I would I would like to see. I would imagine that reforms in that type of the Department of Justice is going to be focused on those types of things.
Yeah,
Yes.
here's my problem with that. I mean, it's possible they could write another memo to make it more strict or whatever. But the truth is, like, FISA represents the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, kind of represents a compromise between the branches of government because this is a very uncomfortable area of surveillance where we want to surveil in the United States, not against people who break criminal laws in the United States, but against people who are foreign actors in the United States. And there's not really good precedent, and there's a kind of uncomfortness about the extent to which that power should exist. And FISA was Congress's best attempt to have some solution where there were actually some guardrails as opposed to no guardrails. What used to happen was the president would just bug whoever they wanted, right? That's what they would just do, in the United States once those techniques were available. And I think people overestimate the amount of individuals that are affected by FISA. In order to have a FISA warrant, typically some very very high up person needs to sign off on it. The deputy attorney general or the attorney general. Every single one of these warrants, they're high level things. There's not a ton of these that occur every year, and so I hear some very real concerns about surveillance states and about overstepping in terms of intrusion into your life. I would be way more concerned with the ambitious plans to deport millions and millions of people and what that will mean in terms of surveillance state than like the FISA courts, which are overseen by Article 3 judges, where frankly most of these are justified warrants. And the times in which they've been problematic, really, under Donald Trump when they tried to reauthorize the FISA warrants of Carter Page, those they've come to light, right? They've come to light, and we've had some actual reforms in response to it. So I'm not sure what specific things you're sort of waiting to see from Trump on FISA, and why you care more about like FISA than the massive expansion of a surveillance state that's going to be necessitated by mass deportation. I don't know
Um.
if any of that makes sense.
No, no, I get what you're saying. Like, like I'm not proud of some of the stuff that Trump did. I mean, a lot of the times he has sort of I guess you could say like towed the line on what previous administrations have done when it comes to like strengthening that like that part of our government. And I understand like its importance, and like there's like a lot of, and you guys are gonna be like, oh, you're crazy, whatever. But like my whole thing that bothers me about like the intelligence agencies, and I get January 6th. Like, I mean, I know you're gonna bring this up, and as Destiny's quite good at this topic. There was obviously FBI agents in there, so it's like that transparency of stuff like that. I mean, there's other examples. You guys could bring up an example of maybe something Trump did with the FBI under him that is similar stuff. Like, I obviously don't want Trump doing those things. Like, I just think stuff like that is, and you always look at, I get like they do foil a lot of like terror plots. Like, no lie there. Like, I think that for the most part they do their job, but there's certain things that came from like 2016 and the
What do you mean when you
Russia.
say there are FBI agents there? What do we actually mean when we say this? Do you think that like the
So
FBI planned this against Trump?
no. I'm saying that. I mean, I don't know. It's won't go into too much detail. Maybe if you're willing to speak privately, but there's just stuff that they do where they go into certain groups, and obviously they monitor these groups. Correct?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
they
what they
do.
do.
Like terror
So
cells.
yeah, and like obviously with the Telegram chats, like your right wing, like all those groups, like the eco fascists, like there's a lot of different groups that they have to keep an eye on. Like I fully understand that, but I'm saying like the transparency about more information of what they're doing while in those groups. Like, are they, you know what I mean? That part of transparency. Like, I get they need to do these things, but knowing
What
more
do you
of,
think that? Do you think that they don't report to their superiors in the FBI?
no. I'm not saying they're more transparency to the people, not to like
So do you
their
think that the
superiors
FBI should publish publicly everything that they're involved in?
to an extent.
Wouldn't that literally
Yes.
defeat the entire purpose of having the FBI?
Well, I mean, you can redact certain things, but I'm talking about like tactics. Like, there has to be some way of being like
Would
transparent in
if
that
you made
way.
every tactic available, then wouldn't that just make it so that everybody would know
How
what
to
to
evade.
avoid?
Well, not entirely. I mean, I I don't know. You don't at all think that there should be like more transparency in that way, like
I think that
at all?
transparency is a meaningless buzzword to throw around. But you're making it sound like they should publish all of their strategies and tactics, which kind of defeats the entire purpose of having like an intelligence agency that monitors people
No,
doing
maybe
bad things.
not tactics. Like maybe okay, we had X amount of people involved in this. They maybe because they don't openly admit how many people were there during that January 6th.
Well, not in an open hearing. Yeah, of course. Why would you want to reveal the exact number of potential informants or potential people that you have involved in a thing publicly? Why would you just give up all that information? Wouldn't you be destroying your ability to like perform intelligence operations if you gave up every single person involved in these operations?
I don't know. You're probably showing your hand in some way, sure.
Okay, can
But
you think of a single other country, organization, entity anywhere in the world ever that publishes information like this?
I would. Israel? They'll publish certain things, correct?
Israel?
We're really going to go with the
Yeah.
Mossad publishes publicly all the stuff that they do? That's the example that you
No,
want to
the
go with?
worst
all their
example,
stuff. Not
James.
all their stuff. Not all their stuff. I mean, I guess like
So you're asking for something that has never been done, probably in all of human history, with any intelligence organization across
Hey,
any part of the world.
there's
Like,
a first for everything, my friend. Why not? Why not start? I don't know.
why not?
I just
Well,
think
why
there's a
not?
lot of
Because you probably wouldn't want to
changes.
give up your ability for your law enforcement to function at all, right? By having them publicly post every single thing that they're doing and are doing, right? I mean, you can do a FOIA request if you want to access certain information. We've got congressional committees that can subpoena people and bring people in to ask them questions. You've got closed committee hearings. You've got your whole chain of command. You've got your Office of Inspector General. You've got your heads of the DOJ and FBI. I mean, there's tons of people that have oversight over these like
Well, yeah,
officers.
I guess obviously if there's anything going astray, you'd probably, no matter what ideology or belief that person in power might or that position might have, will probably not allow such things. I guess it's just there's like just that mistrust, you know.
Okay,
It's
so
Who's
we
feeding the
should
mistrust,
destroy.
though?
Yeah, aren't you being fed the mistrust?
I think both sides do it, to be honest. I don't think it's just one. I know Trump exaggerates a lot.
Can you give me
Like
an
I'm not gonna.
example of a leader, like a lawmaker on the left, that attacks the DOJ as much as Donald Trump does?
Um, Probably not.
Can you think of a
But
major like?
I would say I would rebuttal with how many Democrats or left-leaning politicians have, I guess, been this heavily investigated.
How many
Bro,
of
you're
them have
not gonna
committed?
go
How
there.
many of them have committed? Do you think the same level of crimes?
I would say maybe not the same crimes, but I would say that I would say people in Congress probably
Probably.
have
Can you?
committed.
Can
You
we just
have
think of like
members of
one example? Just one example of somebody.
Like anything, like just anything random, like pick a politician.
Okay, Hillary Clinton. Was she investigated by the FBI?
Yeah.
Were the results of her investigation made public, even though no charges were recommended against her?
I mean, yeah,
So
there
what?
should have been. Do you agree that there should have been charges?
No, there shouldn't have been. She did no crime.
Well,
There's no evidence of that. What crime do you think she committed?
I mean, she did wipe. Her server did get wiped.
Yeah, but all of that
It,
was
it got wiped, but there's no evidence that she directed it. Do you think she should be in trouble if there's no evidence that she directed the server wipe?
I don't know.
You don't
Uh,
know. So if there's no
I
evidence
mean,
that she
I guess
directed it,
obviously
how?
no. If you
Yeah.
can't pinpoint that it was her, but
So is there any other evidence that you think that should make it so that she's charged with a crime?
no. I mean, I'm
So it's an
talking
appropriate
more
decision.
Nancy. Would you say that? And you're gonna be like, oh, here we go. Would you say that based on like? Do you believe that like Nancy Pelosi maybe insider trades
on what
at all?
evidence?
I mean, based on like the sale of like MasterCard coming out before, like just stock trading, like how she's traded. Then you can sort of like correlate with certain things getting
Well, I don't
more
know that it's
monetary.
I don't know. So insider trading, there are specific definitions for it. Usually requires trading on material non-public information, but I think there might be an exemption, or it might not apply in the case of information obtained in your role as a congressperson. And so, would
Wait,
you
hold
agree
on. No,
that
no, no,
like
wait. To be clear, there's no way that's true. You can't
But,
insider trade based on.
no, like if you say, for example, I almost called you Pisco. I'm Pisco. Say, for example, like you learn that you're about to pass a piece of legislation, or you learn from some, in the course of your duties as a congressperson, you have access to certain information. I'm not sure that those are the insider trading laws apply to you with respect to that information. I'm not sure about that. That's why AOC, and I think in agreement with Ted Cruz, wanted to pass a law to cover what they thought was a loophole. That's why I'm saying that, because they wanted to pass a new law to prevent that.
Yeah, and even so, let's say that there hasn't been any credible information that has shown that anybody is engaged in Congress and insider trading that hasn't been charged with it, right? Just because some people might, like Pelosi's husband buys and sells a ton of shit. He manages a huge either personal net worth or a fund or something. He manages a ton of assets. But let's say that I even granted that. Let's say that we granted, okay, maybe some of these people do insider trade. Wouldn't Elon Musk and Donald Trump being billionaires and having such huge financial stakes and other things be like the same type of thing, but even worse?
Probably. So
Yeah, man, that's fucking
obviously,
crazy. Like Elon Musk is
I'm not gonna like argue against that. Yeah, obviously that's
he's
a
taking
conflict of
calls
interest.
real quick, James. He's taking calls with like world leaders. He's going to be involved in all of these companies. He's not divested from Tesla. He's not divested from X. He's going to be like in the room with all of these major decisions. And if you see like his stock prices are just going up, 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 doesn't that like concern you way fucking more than whatever shit Nancy's pulling?
Um, I probably not, because I would still say like based on Nancy Pelosi's like power and like how the structure would work, like she's still relatively powerful until the Congress changes. So
Sure. It's
I would
just
say
interesting to me that like Pelosi and the venture capital firm that Pelosi's husband runs is worth like $120 million. And I think that they're worth like $250 million together. And Musk gained like over $50 billion since the Trump election. So it just seems like if this is something that we were concerned about, like, damn. I just don't see how, if there's a
obviously,
motivating thing
you're
to
right.
vote on, it feels like.
I don't think you're like wrong there. I guess I mean, I feel like no matter, and this is what sucks about our political system, what's probably the most frustrating, I think we can all agree, like both sides, whether left or right, they have an issue with like, billionaires are all intertwined in both parties, and that's probably the saddest part of it. Obviously,
Well,
I
you say
feel like
billionaires are intertwined in both parties. What can you give me an example that's even remotely close to the level of intertwined? Like, you remember how we complained about Twitter being unfair to Republicans? How would you have felt if Biden would have made like Jack Dorsey part of his like cabinet or part of his like running like campaign or whatever. If Jack
I would have
Dorsey
complained. Not gonna lie.
or what about Mark Zuckerberg would have been part of the? But like also that's not even like Elon has done way more than just been made part of that committee, right? Like he's been actively
Yeah, he's
campaigning
definitely
He was
for
in the
giving
family
millions of
photo.
dollars away in the family
Yeah,
photo,
no,
commandeered an account in order to promote.
I know you got me there. I'm not gonna. At least I'm not denying it. I'm not trying. I admit that it's a conflict of interest, and I think it just gives another just depiction of sort of where our political system is with the that part of things. But yeah, it's obviously you are right there. But I mean, I don't know.
I'm
I still.
concerned this motherfucker's gonna get like government contracts. He's gonna be like funneling all the different
But let me
like
ask you something. Like, put
yeah.
all the election stuff aside. Do you still like think the stuff that Elon's done's been like good for like society as a whole, like
Fuck
the
no. I don't know
world?
about Steven.
I mean, I think Tesla and SpaceX are amazing companies.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I think that X has been a disaster for the human race
America.
and
Yeah.
maybe even for the United States. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a
Yeah, I think Tesla and SpaceX are cool as companies, but the X stuff is fucked, and he's spreading. There's no excuse for this too. He is spreading blatant lies, never calls himself out over them, and has zero fucking shame, just like Trump. It's like I don't know. It's a poison to our society.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I mean, he definitely is.
Dude, remember the Paul Pelosi thing? He tweeted like, "This is a very interesting thing. Like, Paul looks like Paul Pelosi was with a gay lover." Remember that shit?
Yeah, no, that like I get like obviously both sides troll each other, like we all do it, but like there was some certain things from the right when it came to that where it was like the people weren't being like they weren't trolling, they were like, oh yeah, it's like the QAnon nutbags, I mean they still exist sadly, but
If you had to make a decision or choice, who do you think does more of this kind of misinformation peddling, the left or the MAGA right, or the equal, or you can't tell, or you don't know?
well, I mean I think so there were certain things like that I feel like both sides always, twist the truth or, they got
I'm
their
asking
sound
about the
bites.
quantity. Who does more or less?
I think just how things are, I think it's going to be equal, to be honest.
Okay.
Can you think of a single thing that's the equivalent of like the election denialism that Trump engages in?
Uh, well, there is that thing going around that's sort of weird, and like I'm sure you've seen it, that like Starlink thing with the satellites. Like that's probably the closest thing from like
So one
I
is
guess like
a Twitter conspiracy, the other is a belief that is shared by 80% of Republicans and is pushed by the president and his billionaire friend Elon Musk. Do you think that's
well, yeah.
equivalent?
No, I'm just saying that was just my example.
Well,
But
sure, but
no,
is there
it's not the
anything that's
equivalent.
even remotely equivalent to that? The 2020 election being
Um,
stolen and the 2016 election being illegally voted on by 3 million illegals.
I can't really speak on it because I'd have to go back and look at like how things sort of went when they had the Gore and Bush stuff. Like I don't really know like how the left reacted to that.
So
Like
the left
I
reacted by conceding the election and giving up their right to a recount on like December
They
12th.
never even got a recount, James. Al Gore never got a recount in Florida. How fucked is that?
well, I was I guess that would be I don't know
Like Trump gets an
12.
instant recount in 2020. He gets a trillion recounts. Al Gore never even got one
Well, I will
recount in
say, to be
Florida.
honest, like the one thing that bothered me about Trump, especially like being a volunteer, like back in 2016, was like he surrounded himself with those like crazy ass QAnon like lawyer people that were just like complete nutbags, and you could tell. And obviously,
He still is, James. You know who's one of the people tapped to be AG? Is like this guy talking about how he wants to see the enemies of Trump
no,
like
no, no,
dead on
that
the
guy.
street.
I will bet $100 right now that he doesn't pick that guy. I hope to God he doesn't.
I hope
Like
he doesn't
maybe
too.
someone more sane than that.
But
Like
it's
I
probably going to
agree.
be someone unhinged. I don't know.
Uh,
I feel like it'll be an unhinged person.
if he can just not listen to those people this time around and not bring in the neocons and stuff like that, I don't know.
He's bringing in the Stefanik, and he's bringing in these other people who are like. Well, anyway, I'll give you the
Wait,
last
I'm
word.
curious.
Anything
Actually, wait,
yeah.
for the last word, I'm curious. So what are some things that would happen where you'd be like, oh, Trump had a good second presidency? What are things you're looking for to happen? Not like effects, but like things that you want to see Trump do.
Oh man. Um If I had to choose one of his policies that I actually want to happen, would probably, you guys aren't gonna like.
Wait,
It
Marco
doesn't matter if
Rubio
we.
was just tapped to be Secretary of State by Trump.
What?
Like they're reporting that it's gonna be Marco Rubio Secretary of State, and you're
Oh,
saying
cool,
he's
cool.
not. He's done with the neocons.
I hope not. Oh boy. Well, I don't know. That took the wind out of my sails, but I guess it would be immigration. So,
What do you hope that he does about it?
I mean,
Like, here's a question: would you think
I'm
it's a success if Donald Trump makes it through these 4 years without getting any legislation passed relating to immigration? Could he still be successful on it?
no. He has to do as much as he can the first 2 years. And obviously, he needs 60 votes. So he's only going to be able to do certain things like your tax reforms and things like that. He's not going to be able to do any of the bigger legislative things that you need, to 60 votes for. So I'm realistic realistically, I hope he gets the tax policies passed. And I mean, that's probably the main thing, at least in the first 2 years. And executive orders, I hope he opens up more for energy, brings back his previous ones that Biden got rid of. So
Hmm. Well, thank you, James. I think we'll leave it there. Although I think Destiny, both and I, like disagree on the energy thing. We think Biden's been pretty good on domestic production of energy. But let's
he
move
has.
on. Yeah, thanks, James. Let's move on to Mike Rollins. We brought in Mike Rollins, a MAGA
What
person,
up?
I believe. Yo, what up? What up? What up?
What up? So the whole Elon thing is weird to me when Obama's cabinet was picked by BlackRock.
Say more. When you say it was picked by BlackRock, can you describe what you mean by that?
Yeah, the email filed cabinet recommendations that came from BlackRock matched Obama's eventual cabinet at like a 90% clip.
Can you give us a link to how you know this?
WikiLeaks, key search, cabinet recommendations.
I mean, like, what do I Google to find this on Google?
You go to the WikiLeaks
No one reported on
DNC
this?
email. Huh?
No one reported on this?
No, why would they? BlackRock owns the media.
True.
They won't report on that. I just feel like we gotta have higher expectations for both sides, bro.
So to be clear, I'm not finding anything about this on Google, and I wouldn't expect to find it on Google. I have to go to WikiLeaks.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the email dump. The email's titled cabinet recommendations. Like some liberals know about this. You could probably key search it in Twitter too and see about it. But it's like it was a point of contention.
Which email was it? The Hillary Clinton email dump?
Yeah, it was in the DNC general hack. So the one that
Okay,
I
the
forgot if
Podesta.
they said North Korea did it. It wasn't Assange, I don't believe.
So we're looking for the terms BlackRock, right?
Cabinet recommendations.
So I search cabinet recommendations.
Yeah, cabinet recommendations or cabinet references. It's almost a 90% match. If not, I think it's one person was different, but I'm not recalling who.
These all are like 2016 stuff, right? I mean, that's when the
Yeah,
Obama.
yeah. This is way back. It's a moot point now, but I'm saying
So why
that
would this be Obama
influence.
stuff? I mean, his presidency started in 2008.
No, no, no. WikiLeaks has shit. Dude, when they hack their emails, they have shit in there from like 2001. They have shit
Okay.
from the Gulf War, a lot, like even further back.
So you have this is you're directing me to an email from a person, and that person represents BlackRock. How do you
Yeah,
know this?
yeah, for a fact. It's in their name. you could look at like this wasn't even. It's not a point of contention. The matter, like the debate, more the conversation I wanted to have about it would be why aren't we holding all of our politicians accountable because everyone's, had aristocrat influence. I guess you could say or corporate influence, whatever you want to say, conglomerate. They all have it. So I feel like we should be holding everyone more accountable.
Well, I'm just gonna call bullshit on your claim that that BlackRock selected all of Obama's cabinet. I believe that is bullshit. I believe
Okay.
that is a lie. And
Okay.
if you're able to produce evidence that I'm incorrect about that, I will send you $500.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. I'll PM it to you,
Yeah,
bro.
DM it to me.
I mean, but you can't say then because that email is completely real and it did line up with his
If you can
cabinet.
produce that
You
email to
can't.
me and it purports to be what you say it is, I will send you
Okay. All right. Bet.
$500.
Bet. I'm gonna
Okay.
PM it to you,
All
bro.
right. Awesome.
But
Thank you.
um,
And to be
so
clear,
aside from
you're not
that,
betting anything. I don't need anything from you. This is
no, yeah, it's good.
unilateral.
It's good.
Okay. Perfect.
I'll PM it to you, bro.
Yeah. And and,
But
and,
I
and by
would.
the way, just so you're aware, like, if it's the case that it doesn't purport to
Uh-huh.
be what you say it is, what does that tell you about your information stream?
I don't know why you would be attacking my information stream, bro.
If you're wrong about this, doesn't that call into question where you're getting your information from?
Absolutely, it would, but I'm not wrong about it.
Okay.
And also, WikiLeaks, dude, somebody went to prison for that information. So it's not just.
Can I hold on? Because
cupcakes.
I'm desperately trying to look up. So it looks like not BlackRock. So it looks like it was a guy who was on the executive board of Citigroup. How do we know that like this email didn't come after like long deliberations between people with Obama and this guy, and this was like a final list of recommendations that was made? Why are we thinking that it was like unilaterally chosen by this one guy?
Wait, it's not. Can you put it in or can you pin it up to the space?
I don't know how to find. I don't know how to do that. Hold on.
Because I'm trying to do that. I'm looking up at it.
Pisco, how do I? Oh wait.
Because
I have no idea.
it might not be the one. I mean, this is like a 25,000 email dump.
I found like an article on this.
Oh,
I sent it to you,
this is
Pisco. I don't
from
know.
World Socialist website.
Sure. But it's a
We can-
memorandum revealed by WikiLeaks
but
in a
dude,
recent
I
document
didn't
released
get
from the email
this
account of John
info.
Podesta.
I got this info from the leaks, dude. I didn't go look up QAnon or World Socialist, whatever. It's not something I was fucking deliberately looking for. I feel like, dude, until you keep denying there's this level of corruption which has become obvious, for years and years. Like the finders not being held accountable should have told you enough about what our government and intelligence agencies were up to. And it's not a left and right issue. I would just like.
I don't understand like what the corruption is here. I don't get it.
Well, in that instance, in terms of the finders cult, the FBI basically caught the CIA.
No. I should focus on this email thing. So like, let's assume, which I've so far I've had no reason to, but let's even assume that some guy working with a bank, Citigroup or whatever, sent an email to Podesta that was forwarded to Barack about here's like potential.
Isn't Citigroup vested in BlackRock?
What do you mean vested in BlackRock?
Citigroup's owned by BlackRock.
A 100% subsidiary? The entire company is owned, or are you talking about like assets under management include shares of Citigroup?
No, yeah. It's probably more likely BlackRock has a slice. I mean, but that's still.
That doesn't mean anything. Right?
Okay, so Citigroup. So what changes if it's Citigroup doing the lobbying? Which I don't.
Well, I'm just
know if this
saying
is
like
the
let's
same
say
email.
you know that I own a slice of BlackRock, right? Like anybody can buy a share in a company.
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Publicly traded.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, let's say theoretically there was an email that was shipped from an executive from Citigroup. Like, these are cabinet level picks that still have to be confirmed by the Senate and everything, right?
Yeah, but I agree that my thing is the whole entity is corrupt and working in this fashion.
What's corrupt about that, though?
So Trump's cabinet picks, I don't believe were genuine choices from Trump.
Okay. Why did you
I
vote
think
for
that- I
Trump
think-
over?
I
Did
think
you
they
vote
were
for? Did you
teal
vote for? Did you
choices.
vote for Trump in this election?
No, I didn't vote.
Okay.
You
They
didn't
were
vote?
teal choices.
So you don't support Trump?
No, I think Trump has the best chance of cleaning the country up for sure.
How can he have the best chance if he's like the one with the most like assets at stake? If he's a billionaire whose assets are essentially held hostage by the global elite, and if you think that his own cabinet picks came from Peter Thiel,
I think this time around Trump's exerting a little more influence, and he showed me that by kicking out that warmonger Pompeo. I think Trump's going to do some good things. I judge Trump by his enemies. All his enemies, seem to be very degenerative. A lot of them were pals with Diddy, pals with Epstein.
wouldn't
Trump's
Trump?
the
Isn't
only.
Trump literally one of the most degenerative people? Wasn't Trump? Didn't
Oh,
Trump
no, Trump was a huge degen for most of his life.
like
But
more
he
so than
wasn't.
anybody he
But
was running against, right? Like more like can
Trump
was
wasn't. No. I don't believe he was
wait
more
was
degenerate than
who's more of
Hillary.
who's more of a degenerate, Trump or Kamala Harris?
Ooh, I would probably say Trump, but I mean Kamala's not a beacon of light.
We're not talking.
for
Okay, so
sure.
Trump was more who was more degenerate, Trump or Biden?
Probably Biden, dude. Biden was an open racist for
You
a
think that
long
open
time.
racist?
Yeah, Trump. That's another thing. I don't want to get necessarily too much into conjecture about it, but I'm saying one thing that spoke to the Trump Epstein connection for me, because that was something I fleshed out. That was a huge question mark with Trump for me. He was the only guy publicly who said, he wasn't a fan of Epstein long before even Epstein's first case. Nobody else said that, and nobody else called Epstein out. Nobody really called Diddy out.
I mean, didn't
And
Epstein
these are
also
the
come
same
out on a
people.
recording and say that like him and
Dude,
Trump are
I
really
mean,
close friends?
but you're saying I'm saying judge Trump by his enemies. I'll give you one. Hillary Clinton, enemy of Trump. Why was Hillary Clinton in contact with the Black Cube about harassing accusers, people who accused Harvey Weinstein during Me Too? So like none of these people are liberal in the classic sense. They're shills. Like Hillary doesn't believe in the stuff you believe in. She was protecting predators her whole career. Her husband was one.
I'm sorry to bring it back to this, Mike, but you're so full of shit. I just looked at this email from Citigroup, which, by the way, is not BlackRock, and there are a bunch of different candidates listed in every single position. Some of them are prominent names because they were, with Obama, but it's not at all the case that they just predict every single person who's on the cabinet. That's a complete fucking lie. For example, just in the State Department, there's Chris Dodd is nominated. He never was Secretary of State. Under energy, yeah, all these positions have multiple names attached to them, and a lot of these are prominent people. Just like people are
Hey,
predicting who's on the
so
cabinet right now for Donald Trump, and people are predicting right now, doesn't mean that there was any conspiracy in who they were going to
no,
pick.
that's not true at all. I have someone in here who just hit me up on the side who has the
No,
documentation
I'm
for you.
reading it. I'm reading the attachment.
No,
It's
no,
not
no.
what you represent it to be.
Okay, but there's a guy in there who you might. I mean, we made the little deal about the 500. There's
Yeah,
a guy in there. There's a guy in here right now who will prove me right now. Back
who is
up
it?
decent. Give him the mic real quick
Oh
on
yeah.
mute.
Oh, this is
Back
this
up
is this
decent.
is our singer.
Yeah. Guitar guy. Very talented.
Backup decent. Backup decent. How are you doing? You were been picked by Mike. He says that you're going to substantiate the claim that BlackRock selected every single member of Barack Obama's cabinet in 2008.
I didn't
So
say every single member.
you did
I
say it.
said
Oh,
I said at a clip of 90%. You can play the space back.
okay, 90%. Backup. I mean, I'm reading this right now. For example, for commerce, there are 4 different people, all with slashes next to them.
Hey, can you hear backup?
No, he's not. Or I don't know. He was pushed out or something. I added him
Yeah,
again.
try to bring him back up. But wait, you don't think that like the thing with Clinton and Weinstein, that's like that doesn't speak to you of a mass underweb?
I don't
The
even know
Black
what the fuck you're
Cube being
talking about.
involved in that, a private intelligence
I, I,
agency
I don't know.
harassing
I don't know what you're
private
talking about.
citizens?
You said black something about
Yeah, the
Weinstein. I
Black
have
Cube.
no idea what you're talking
You know what the
about.
black cube is,
The Black
Pisco?
Cube.
What's the black cube?
Oh my
So,
god.
dude, it's like I'd rather have this convo with Destiny. You're engaging in whatever you're engaging in,
Ad
but it's
hominem
like
and gish
that happened, bro. That happened.
What happened?
The black cube, bro.
Yeah.
They harassed all the people that went after Weinstein.
Yeah, and,
What does that have to do with
Hillary Clinton was
Yo,
on
Mike,
email
Mike,
perpetuating that.
can I jump in right quick, dude?
Yeah.
Black Cube is one of the two firms that was hired by fucking David Boies on behalf of Harvey Weinstein. The other one was K2 Integrity, founded by Jules Kroll. And I've been listening to the conversation. Sorry I wasn't able to get in the first time. I had a problem with the connection. But K2 Integrity, founded by Jules Kroll, it hires basically IDF, Mossad, FBI, NSA, GCHQ, all these kinds of assets. They are who he hired to discredit Harvey Weinstein's accusers. Destiny knows exactly.
Sorry, who hired?
Harvey Weinstein's attorney, David Boies,
Okay.
hired Black Cube and K2 Integrity to discredit his sexual assault accusers. And as far as the
What does
vaccine,
that have to do with Hillary Clinton?
I was adding context to the thing that you guys were just talking about.
But you don't know anything about the Hillary Clinton connection, do you?
The Hillary Clinton connection as it relates
the black
to
cube.
the only thing that I didn't make a connection
cool. So
between.
let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. So the conversation was about, when I was first listening, about vaccines and about COVID and who's more corrupt between Trump and.
You were brought on specifically to substantiate the claim that BlackRock sent an email to.
No, I didn't come on to
Okay,
substantiate
so
that
you can't
claim.
substantiate that, right? Is that fair?
I'm not. I never made that claim.
Okay. So Mike, he never made that claim. Back up. What else did you want to discuss?
So we were talking about the corruption, the difference in corruption during COVID, and having vested interests in vaccines and things like, Elon Musk and Twitter, and that being a huge conflict of interest. I wanted to make mention that, comparatively speaking, between Donald Trump and Elon Musk versus the people who were actually involved with the vaccine manufacturing and people who had the more higher vested interests, it's those people over Donald Trump and Elon Musk by far. And we can talk about every single company that you want to talk about. If we want to talk about Gilead, if we want to talk about NYU Langone, where, fucking Larry Fink of BlackRock is vice chairman, and they buy up all these hospitals, all these assisted living facilities, and they control the protocols and the drugs.
What is
and
your
the
claim,
treatments.
sir?
My claim is that they are far more corrupt as far as having vested interests in COVID and vaccines and literally every other industry that we can talk about that this election was predicated on.
So Gilead has interests in vaccines. That is
No,
corrupt.
Gilead has interests in remdesivir, which when we were talking about Palantir earlier, Alex Karp, Peter Thiel, and basically AKA Gilman Louie's company, they knew that remdesivir was toxic back in March. On March 8th, there's an email, and you guys can check the fucking.
Hey, I'm just curious. If these guys have so much power and they knew that why didn't they just buy the rights to hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and resell it in the United States?
They knew it was ineffective, or they knew that remdesivir was ineffective.
Why didn't they just buy the rights and sell? If hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin worked, why wouldn't they just buy the rights to that and exclusively sell it in the U.S.?
Because they needed the protection of the EUA. They didn't need it wasn't so much as about
why did they need the EUA? Why couldn't they just sell it as a
liability protection for
why couldn't, if they're so powerful that they
authorization?
can do this, why can't they just get liability protections from the government?
Well,
why couldn't they just get EUA to do this as a prescription for COVID? They don't need if these are medications that are approved for other things, that doesn't necessarily mean they could be used to treat COVID, but they could get EUA for COVID treatment, no?
No, what I'm saying is, so March 8th, they find out from.
Did you hear his question?
I'm not asking.
Yes,
I'm not asking
I'm
about March 8th.
answering his
I'm asking.
question,
I'm asking.
Pisco.
Why wouldn't they just say we have emergency use authorization for these medications to be used for COVID?
Which medications are you talking about?
Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine.
They pulled them off the market because an EUA requires that
Do
there's
you know
no
what the question
other.
you were just asked?
Wait. EUA
Are
requires
you going
what?
to interrupt me every time I answer the
You're not
question? I'm
answering.
answering his
EUA
question.
requires what?
An EUA requires no other effective, already widely disseminated, available
There was
therapeutics
no
to be on the
effective.
market.
There was no effective.
Yes, there was.
What?
Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin.
No.
And we have the emails.
No, wait.
that
I'm
prove
asking.
it.
I'm asking. Why didn't they just buy the distribution rights to ivermectin
Because
and
they had their
hydroxychloroquine?
own drugs, remdesivir.
Why would they want to
that
use their own drugs when they could just buy up the rights to
Because they
hydroxychloroquine
could
and
profiteer
ivermectin?
on the more expensive medication. This is not difficult.
Why couldn't you
Dustin.
just mark it up and sell it? Well, it is difficult because it's a baseless fucking conspiracy. Why
It's
wouldn't
not
they just?
baseless.
It is
I
baseless.
have the fucking
You don't have
emails.
fucking anything for anything. That last bullshit you tried to just do with the BlackRock shit that you've come in and you're wisely not
I didn't
defending.
say shit about
yeah, I know,
BlackRock.
but that was the
Don't-
only reason why you
don't
were brought
start
in here.
arguments to
Okay?
me
No,
that I
I know,
didn't
but it's
make.
equally fucking retarded. Okay? Like, why? No other country in the world has called out anybody on trying to falsely market remdesivir to American citizens. Why would we even do that? Why would the government even allow that to happen? Why would we poison our own citizens with our own pharmaceutical companies?
Yeah, that's a great fucking question, isn't it?
Well,
We
what's the
should
answer?
ask
What's the answer?
Alex profiteering and because of fucking eugenics. And we have the proof of it.
Profit.
Yes,
Why
no.
would you
I'll just do
eugenics and
yes or no. I'll
profiteer?
just
The
do
only
yes
people
or
in
no.
your own society that are listening to you. That's like the
All right,
worst.
let's start here.
Who's
Let's
behind
start
the
here.
backup?
Where did COVID come
Back
from?
up, back up. Do you believe that the
No.
Jews
Where did
have-
COVID come from?
Do the
Where did
Jews-
COVID
Chinese
come from?
Chinese bioweapons labs from people that believe in dinosaurs. Yeah,
From people that believe in dinosaurs?
yeah. They made
What the fuck does
they
what the
made
fuck does
COVID.
that have to do with anything? No, it came from Genentech, 23andMe, and fucking Ginkgo Bioworks and Incatel.
True. Why
And
do you
guess-
trust?
and
Wait, did you support?
Weizmann Institute.
Did you support Donald Trump in this election?
Are you going to redirect everything to
Well, yeah,
some
because
kind
we're
of
looking for
MAGA
people that
bullshit?
support. Well, that, yeah,
It's
that,
about
it's
Trump.
literally a MAGA conversation, you dipshit. Of course, I'm redirecting to that. That's the point of the fucking call.
Okay, so every
Did you
time you
support
ask a question, you're just going to, like, in the middle of my answer, you're going to redirect to, did you support Donald Trump? I didn't vote for Trump in 2020.
Okay, there you go. So
I
these are
didn't
two
vote for him in
non-Trump supporters. So
2016,
why the fuck are we?
But I voted for him in 2024.
Why
because
would
he's the
why
only
would this
chance that we
billionaire
have.
guy? Why would this guy be the one to end the global conspiracy? He's a literal fucking billionaire. He is the elite.
Because the alternative is literally the people that knocked down the World Trade Center towers, you faggot.
What, you don't think that Donald Trump wasn't involved with
now
those
you
people
say
as a
it, now you
billionaire?
say
You don't think he would be in
No,
bed with
I
those
know
people?
for a fact that he wasn't. The two people that are the
How do you
fucking
know for
other
doesn't
king-
this guy isn't he the
There's
most
three
Israeli
guys-
cucked? Isn't wait, be honest. Isn't Donald Trump the most pro-Israeli cucked president we've had in forever?
of all time?
Incorrect.
Really? He
Joe
didn't
Biden,
wait.
Really?
Joe Biden has received more pro-Israeli dollars of all.
I'm not talking
What-
about
what about
pro-Israeli
history?
dollars. Donald
You
Trump
know
doesn't
who
need the
number
dollars.
three
Donald
is?
Trump doesn't need the
Hillary
dollars. He's a
Clinton.
billionaire. Donald Trump doesn't need the dollars. He's a billionaire. Didn't Donald Trump move that embassy and give him a big thumbs up? Didn't he say that
does-
Israel's
what-
the best country of the world for us to support?
Moving the embassy to Jerusalem affects any of
Is
our lives.
Trump
How?
pro-Israel or not?
It affects the lives of the people
he
over there. What do you
pro-Israel?
mean? It gives
Wait,
legitimacy to
wait,
the Israeli
Is
government.
the space about being pro-Israel, or is the space about like Donald Trump
Well, it
being
seems
the
like you
worst
have-
candidate for America?
It seems like your vote. You have a problem against Israel, right? You don't like Israel. Fair?
I don't like the things that
Do you like
global.
Israel or not? You can
The
hate Israel. Do you hate Israel? Be
Jews.
honest.
That's why I'm asking where COVID came from, because
From
if
the
you
Jews.
answered honestly and
You
you
dislike
understood,
Israel.
I like.
Answer a question, you spineless fuck.
I don't like the fact that Jews engaged in biological terrorism against global non-Jews, and we have the receipts on that shit too. And if you would like to discuss where COVID actually came from, instead of just being a fucking like ad hom faggot, we can have a serious conversation.
Fucking true.
COVID came from China. Okay, let's talk about China. Who set that shit up? That was set up by David Rubenstein and Laureen Sperling from fucking Duke University and Carlyle Group at Duke Kunshan University in Wuhan. Who the fuck are they?
How
They're
does it
both
feel to
they're
have
both
voted for a
Mossad
president?
Jews,
How
you
does it
fucking
feel-
idiots.
how does it
Holy
feel to
shit,
vote
not
for a
the
president
Mossad
who's
Jews.
So cucked to Benjamin Netanyahu, who's going to do everything Benjamin Netanyahu asked for. How does that feel?
Oops. Okay, I accidentally removed him. I can't.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too fucking much.
All right, listen.
MAGA are not
We're gonna
sending their
figure
best.
out next spaces how to. I don't even know, bro. These people are crazy. And now that now that the election is over, I think now they're gonna be even more crazy because they have like.
Yeah.
Remember, the worst part of the election outcome is that it kind of legitimizes like all this fucking insanity. So now people can be a little bit more mask off. But listen, it's been fun.
Oh, wait, are we done?
I'm done. I can't. I can only.
Oh, wait. Let's do one more.
Yeah, go for it.
One more caller.
Okay, one more guy
Okay.
who's like, oh yeah, I guess Trump would be worse in every single one of these regards. True.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Lisa Grande. Lisa. Save us.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up?
Um, is there? I guess there's probably tons of MAGA in here, so I wanted to ask. Hey, Truther, I wanted to ask any Trump voter, to tell me what they think that Donald Trump is going to do to lower grocery prices in January. Because it sounds like they think that there's going to be like free eggs and bread's going to be $1 and gas is going to be $2. And I want them to tell me what he's going to do with grocery prices that
Thanks
Biden
for
could have done, but he didn't do.
thanks for that question, Lisa. Well, I'm going to direct that to Daniel, who I just brought in. Daniel, you were asked a question about
Hold on.
prices,
Yeah,
or
wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you. So I came in here to hear um two people have a discussion, Destiny and my good friend Backup, and you guys, Pisco, first of all, you're ruining it by keep interjecting. You should let Destiny and the other guy have an actual conversation and
Destiny
shut the
kicked him.
fuck
That's not
up.
on me. He kicked
Well,
him.
then he's a somebody here agrees on that because he ran. So you shouldn't run, dude.
How
Have
do
a
you feel about
conversation.
Donald Trump embracing and having
No,
homosexuals?
no.
How do you feel about Donald Trump having homosexuals in his cabinet?
Dude, I
How do
don't care.
you don't care about homosexuals in the cabinet?
There's nothing I could do about it. What can
Well,
I
do
do
you
about it?
agree with it or do you disagree with it?
I don't care. I don't think that
So you're
sexuality should
indifferent
have
about
any.
whether or not there are gay people in the cabinet. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that sexuality shouldn't have any role. Someone's sexuality shouldn't mean anything in
Okay,
politics.
what about the amount of Jews that he's bringing into the cabinet?
I have no problem with Jews. I have a problem with Zionists. So that is a problem for me.
Oh,
But I think he
that
knows
is
what
a
he's
problem for
doing.
you because Donald Trump is supported by Benjamin Netanyahu. He's supported by big
Fucking
pro-Israeli
Mozart song, I think. I don't
donors.
remember.
Everyone
Yeah,
understands that he's
Get me
very,
out.
very,
I'm
very
ready to
pro-Israel.
leave.
He just
Get me
nominated
out of
as an
here.
ambassador
Please
one
let me
of
get
the
the fuck out
pro-Israel?
of here.
Are
Oh,
you
God.
pro-Israel?
It's too
I
much.
am and I'm not.
Okay, so do you think that it's okay for a rabbi
Bach?
named Solomon Friedman? Do you
I don't
think
know who that person is.
do you think he's representing the Jews well by
I
owning
don't
the
know who that
largest
person is, and so I can't. I
If
don't
you
know who
would
that
shut the
person.
fuck up and
I
let
don't
me
know who that
talk, then
person
I
is.
could tell you who he is. He owns
Well, I'm
the
not gonna. I'm
largest.
not gonna take your. I'm not gonna take your
No, but it's
rendition of the
fact.
facts.
Well, you won't let me talk, so how do you know if what I'm about to say is right or not? He owns the largest pornography company in the world. It's
Oh,
called
no, the
Pornhub,
Jews
and
doing
he's a rabbi.
pornography, not
So
that.
I would like for all religious institutions to start by calling out the bigotry within their own group or sect before you ask me if I'm okay with him having
C minor,
Israelite
good one.
administration.
Yeah.
Well, it
Why
sounds
don't you
like you don't
fix?
like gay people, and it sounds like you don't like pro-Israeli people. Is that fair?
I think I
I
have
Oh,
asked
friends
you,
who are gay.
do you like
can
gay
we,
people or not?
I have friends who are gay, and I think
You don't like gay people. You don't like pro-Israeli people. So I don't know why you're in
no.
favor of Donald Trump, who's having gay people in very high positions, and who is having pro-Israeli people in very high positions.
It's not pro-Israeli. Do you
Oh,
know
it
that?
is, my friend. Oh, it
No,
is.
it's not, because if what you were saying was true, then the articles that came out in the Jerusalem Post earlier this year stating that Netanyahu has less than 30% support of the Israeli people wouldn't.
Trump has like 70% approval in Israel, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, but
Everyone under
oh.
Netanyahu does not.
everyone in
Netanyahu does not.
everyone understands that Trump is going to be the most pro-Israel person that there possibly is. And so it's so fucking did you hear the first caller? The first caller was so thankful that
What is this?
Trump was elected because he's going to be so pro-Jewish. Do you think these people are stupid?
It's not about Jewish. It's about Zionists. It's about.
Pro-Israeli.
It's
The
about.
first
Yeah,
I
but
caller
feel
was
like I've heard this.
ecstatic. He said, I'm so happy that Trump's elected because he's going to be so pro-Israel.
I
BB
wasn't
says
here
the
for
same
that.
thing. Oh, do you think these people are fucking stupid? I have to ask.
No, I think that they're misguided and they're not intelligent. They don't know enough about the situation to have an opinion on it. So
Sounds
they
like
don't know.
BB. I think that BB, if we're being honest, BB might
It,
know a little bit more about what is in his own interest than you
The
do.
key
I think
is
that that's
so
a
what
fair
all
assumption.
I would like, and I think Trump is going to accomplish this, and this is why I voted for him, is I would like for Israel and Palestine, mainly Israel, because they're killing far more people than the Palestinians killed Israelites, to stop fucking killing children. And I think that Trump is going to accomplish that.
All
And
right.
what I have
Thanks for
never
the
heard, can
comment.
I
Thanks.
just
Do you
finish,
have any
please?
final words?
What I've never heard, yeah, I have a final word. What I have
Yeah.
never
That's all
heard
I got.
someone like Destiny say, maybe he has said it, I would like for him to say it right now, is that those motherfuckers should stop killing children, no
Which
matter
who?
who they are. That Netanyahu and the IDF should stop slaughtering children.
Oof. I've actually decided to take the pro children slaughter stance. So I'm sorry, I
bet you
can't
have,
make that
'cause
commitment
you
here.
are a
I'm so
Zionist
sorry. I'm
fuck,
just like a
faggot.
big, because that's why I support Donald Trump. I like all the drone strikes in Yemen. I like the war going on. You know, you're kind of like, I'm a huge fan of I love Donald Trump and all the, like when Donald Trump says we should like kill terrorist families and stuff, I'm big on that. Deporting immigrant children and all that. The most anti-children positions possible.
I feel like we were looping on that one, so I kicked him.
What? Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Zin.
Good.
Last one, Stephen.
Okay, go ahead.
Zintani. Thoughts? Are you pro Trump?
No, but my bags are up. Have you seen the stock market?
Yeah,
It's good times.
but Biden's in charge right now.
Yeah.
Okay, last caller.
Do you wait? Hold on. Okay, never mind. Yeah, just kick me down.
Wait, what do you want to say about that?
Bag season, y'all. It's bag season. It's good times. I'm happy. This
Okay. And last but not least, Cash. Cash for the last caller.
Hey, good evening. In this room. How's it going? It sounds like
Good.
you guys have
How
some
are you?
intense calls. I've never found your space before. Is this normal?
We can't hear you. What are you saying?
He said he just found our space. Is this normal?
Hello? Trumpers, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Just fix your mics.
It's Biden's internet, bro. This is what net neutrality gives you.
Cash, what's up?
Is it
Can you
not?
hear us?
Is it? I can hear you. Are you not hearing me?
Now we can. What's up?
Okay. Don't know what was going on there. All right. So that was really intense from all the phone calls. Hadn't discovered your space before, but the one I had this space down. I wasn't know it was missing, but they're asking about food prices and what Trump was going to do different than Biden.
Yeah, that was Lisa.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So start with, were things cheaper under Trump than under Biden?
Things were cheaper under Trump.
Yeah, great. So what is he going to do different now that Biden didn't do is that he's going to bring back to our drilling from home at first, for one.
Wait, don't we already drill at home though? Also, wait, just checking
home.
real quick. Were you younger under Trump or were you younger under Biden?
That's not a same comparison.
I didn't say it was. I was just asking. I was just curious. Were you younger under Trump or were you younger under Biden?
I'm not sure what your point is.
I'm not making up. I'm just literally just asking a question. Were you younger when Trump was president or were you younger when Biden was president?
Because it's a really silly question. So is this what we're going to go through?
It was just a really easy question. Were you younger under Trump or were you younger under Biden?
I got plenty of other things to do. So if
okay. Oh, he left. Wow, geez, what a fucking retard.
Yeah.
How unfortunate that he didn't understand that time moves in one direction. How unfortunate for that
it's
guy.
crazy
Man,
that
it's crazy to be
prices were
brain
higher.
broken with just such a simple question. I can't believe that dude's entire fucking reality fell apart before his eyes on a very simple question of was he younger under Trump? I just wanted to know. I was just curious. Jesus
Christ. All right, folks. Well,
Nobody's going to answer the grocery question. I mean,
there is no answer to the
seriously,
grocery
I've been
question,
asking
Lisa. The reality is, the answer you don't want to hear
an answer.
is that they don't need to worry about groceries being cheaper because they're all going to live off of Elon and Trump's nutsack. They're just going to drink his cum all day long, and that's all the daily nutrients they need. And there you go. Boom! All right, Pisco, any final thoughts before
final thoughts. MAGA's not sending their best.
Who is this person that just got put in? Why? Little Desert Flower. Wow. Who, are you making these people speakers? You must be.
No. I don't know what's happening. My
It
finger
was
slipped.
probably an accident.
How you doing, Little Desert Flower?
Oh, hello. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're on. What do you got for us?
Oh, I don't know why he picked me. I had requested it, but you guys sounded like you were signing off. I just wanted to say that was hilarious. You're totally right. Like, people don't understand how economics works. Like that, what that guy was saying. I liked your point, Destiny. And Trump is going to be absolutely terrible for Palestinians. And it kills me that so many people were fooled into cutting off their noses to spite their faces by refusing to support Harris.
True.
Based.
But okay.
It's a great caller to end on.
Wow, true. Okay. Well,
all right.
Thanks a lot.
Much love, everybody. This one, I'm not gonna lie, this one sucked. This was not good.
The next one will
We'll
be
try
better.
again at some at some later point. But thank you everyone for participating. Yeah, bye.
Oh my god.
Um,
All right. We have to do 7 Federalist Papers tomorrow, okay? Oh. Stay safe. Be careful. We'll be back tomorrow. Holy fucking AIDS. I love you guys.